Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Life Transformations Podcast. I'm your host, Leo, and today I am joined by Melissa Ostash, aka The Fit and Fueled Life on Instagram. And she has made her own transformation and lost 120 pounds, and she's also now coaching. So I thought she would be a great guest to have on to share some experiences and to hear her story. So welcome, Melissa.
Thanks, Leo. And yes, I'm excited to be here. I know we have a bit of a time change and everything else, so it's always cool networking with people around the world in this industry because it really does bring people together, especially if you have a similar story or background and weight loss, all that stuff. It's really cool connecting with others, and hopefully others can connect based on what we're going to share today.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Amazing. And yeah, so I have prepared a few questions for you, and then towards the end, I would also open up if there is anything that you want to ask me, of course.
Yeah.
But I guess to start with, I've seen some clips and seen some info on your page, and my understanding is that you lost 120 pounds, but it has been maybe a bit of up and down and over a longer period of time. So I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to share like where you started off and the progress you've made and how it all worked out, I guess. So yeah,
Yeah. I can definitely share that. So a little background about me is I grew up obese. So by age 8, I was a kid. I was in elementary school. I was the biggest one in my class and
same.
buying basically plus size clothing. It was intimidating, uncomfortable, and honestly, I grew up hating myself. That was the gist of it. So it was challenging and it's cool to actually relate to somebody that gets it because when you're a kid, and I grew up in a small town in rural Saskatchewan, so my grade was 10 students, and there was only two girls, and the other one was fit and track and all that stuff. And then there was me. I really grew up like a tomboy inside was that and was just like, rough and tough around the edges kind of persona. Um, and then yeah, throughout high school, I kind of gravitated to creating the identity of being the fun, fat, outgoing girl because that's how I thought people were going to like me because it wasn't going to be my looks that were going to make me friends. And that's kind of how I thought about myself. I was very negative towards me. And it also had to do with like I grew up in a narcissistic household as well. So like I was the black sheep of the family to begin with, but also lots of my image was attacked quite frequently and those kind of situations. My older brother would call me tree legs and thing like that. So
Yeah,
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 it was an interesting upbringing to say the least. And reflecting on it now, I'm very proud of that girl because she showed up for herself one day. So fast forward to post-secondary, I'm in college. I decided I'm going to join the gym. And I was thinking about it for a while, and I'm like, I used to make all these excuses that I'm bigger boned, that this is just who I am. My family was overweight, so like I'm destined to be overweight. It's my genetics. Like I'm not going to be able to lose this weight. So I kind of stepped into the gym and my thought was again, if I can't lose it, I'm going to just want to focus on getting stronger. So that was kind of the back of my mind from the get-go. And to of course be able to join the gym, you had to have your basic vitals taken, so blood pressure and everything else. And yeah, I had high blood pressure at 21 years old. So that was kind of the, okay, you need to take a step back and reevaluate your life choices. And I would say that's when I really started slowing down on consuming alcohol. Don't get me wrong, I still was a weekend warrior for a long time, as I'll call it. I still liked going out Fridays, Saturdays, which is part of the reason why I entered that yo-yo cycle. But I was no longer participating in like again college why not Wednesdays, thirsty Thursdays, like things like that, right? Because it was almost like there was a reason every day of the week to go out and drink and party and whatnot. I started removing myself and would be more strategic or choose certain occasions. Yeah, so then after post-secondary again, I kind of carried out that that lifestyle. So I still hit the gym. I still calorie counted, and that's one
Okay.
thing that really ties into my journey is I was a religious calorie counter. Not macros, just specifically calories.
Yeah.
And I was the My Fitness Pal person that, what's the lowest possible calories you can consume in a day and still do it. So of course that 1200 number was thrown at me because they don't allow you to even choose that anymore, I believe. Or that's
Okay.
not the automatic recommendation, I don't think anymore. But like that was what I would always select. And it was never sustainable. So I would last, a few days, I would see the scale go down. I'm like, this is great. And then all of a sudden I would get the binge, right? Because I was hungry. I was spending 2 hours in the gym because I thought, again, that's how you got to do it. You got to eat less, move more. That was very much my mindset. So if that didn't help, then I would add diets in there, whether it was keto, whether it was like a low fat diet, whether it was keto, carb free, low carb, whatever.
Hmm.
All those things, Weight Watchers. I tried incorporating all those things on top of it to see the results. And I never did because it was always way too extreme. I was seeking that number that was just not realistic. And even like fast forwarding to when I started working with an actual nutrition coach, which was around 2021, 2022, I would say. That's when I got introduced to macronutrients and actually began understanding, hey, sure, you need to be in a calorie deficit, but you still need to eat the right foods to fuel your body to actually maintain muscle mass, build muscle mass, all that stuff. Because I had no idea about nutrition. And I would say that was my limiting factor that caused me to be in that yo-yo loop for a good 10 years. Because,
That's
yeah,
where
it took,
the fueled part of your name comes from, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that. Okay, that's great. So yeah, understanding macros is definitely a big part of it. Okay, so
yeah.
understanding that was kind of changed. So what would you say you have done differently since learning more about macros and all of that? So compared to before.
So I definitely learned that okay, you don't need to spend 2 hours in the gym. That's another thing. I would say programs like the Beach Body, the anything like what is it? Orange Theory. Here we have them. I don't know if you guys have them over there, but like there's Orange Theory. Lots of hit-based
Hmm.
fitness classes and whatnot, F45. That was my style. Even doing like some of the beach body workouts where they're like 21 days straight. You're gonna work out every day. You're gonna sweat because chasing that sweat was something I really thought I had to do to achieve my goals and results. That was another learning curve that my trainer at the time had to teach me. It was like, you need to slow down.
Hmm.
You don't need to be sweating buckets. Sweat is not fat crying because again, that's one of those little myths that I
Yeah.
believed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so definitely changing things around and getting a more healthier view of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think one of the things which is very important, if I go back a little bit to what you were saying before about the 1200 calories and this and that, I think people and then also with keto or low carb or whatever you're trying to do, um, people get too stuck in the ideas that you have to do things a certain way and there is something magical about doing it that way, and that means that you put a lot of pressure on yourself that the moment you do something which is not perfectly based on that plan, then you have failed, right?
Yeah.
So and then you yeah, you go back and even worse, and yeah, so I've been in that trap myself. So I mean, I've done like attempts before at weight loss, and but yeah, in ways that were not sustainable necessarily, right? So
Yeah.
so
The extremes.
yeah, the extremes. Like I've tried. I had lost quite a big amount of weight in 20 between 2012 2013, somewhere there, and
Hmm.
that was basically doing a kind of keto or low carb diet. but I kind of knew all the time that I wasn't going to do that forever, and I didn't really have a plan for after. So basically, once I fell off that, I gained back even more than what I had before. So yeah, yeah, I can definitely relate to the fact of trying to find your basically understanding the basics and then learning how to apply them for yourself. So I'm guessing in your previous attempts you weren't really paying attention to how much protein you were eating either and all of that stuff then and yeah.
No, no. I was basically winging it and trying to do anything that would make that number on the scale move. And don't get me wrong, with my dieting attempts and whatnot, I did lose 70 pounds, but I got
That's
stuck.
a
I
lot.
got stuck,
Mm.
and it was then again, I would drop. So I would go to like maybe 80 pounds down, and then I would gain it back because I didn't know how to sustain it. I had to keep doing those extremes because there was like I was hungry, so I wasn't eating enough protein for one thing, and I definitely was not eating enough fiber for another thing. So those two things alone, for satiety purposes, I was missing completely. And I even did like the intermittent fasting. I would skip breakfast and save or reserve my calories for later on in the day because, I knew you had to be in a calorie deficit, but I just couldn't comprehend like the right foods matter.
Mm.
Actually feeling fueled throughout your day matters. Starting your day off strong with a high protein, high fiber breakfast is going to make you feel a whole lot more better than like skipping breakfast entirely and then just focusing on lunch and supper and stuff like that. Because when I was doing that, it was not sustainable. And I would often then by supper time be binging because I was hungry at that point.
Yeah, yeah. There is an interesting balance there as well, right? Because for someone like me, I cannot eat too many meals a day because then they become way too
Mhm.
small for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of have to space them out and eat a few meals so that they can be a decent size. Otherwise, I kind of get more irritated by it instead, right? So people have to find
I
also their own strategies of what works. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that too, because
yeah.
at one point too, I think it was a Beach-Body program where it was like you need six small meals throughout the day. And I was always hungry. I was never fully satiated. So this is where now I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat a decent breakfast, a decent lunch, maybe have a snack if I want it, and make sure my supper is a decent size versus, like I say, eating bird food because, like, I don't know. I always like for my clients, because I specifically focus on women's weight loss or
Mhm.
fat loss, I should say, is I'm like, we're grown-ass women. We should be eating like it, not eating bird food, is kind of what I say.
That's
And
great.
yeah, yeah.
No, I love that. Yeah, and yeah. So I think on that stuff people are different, right? So I know some people who are definitely more like snackers, I guess, right?
Mhm.
So they like having the small meals here and there, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, but I think it's just important to know yourself and know what works, right? So
Yeah,
so yeah, you can make it work with 6 meals a day, and you can even make it work with 2 meals a day if you want. So it's like
yeah.
there is a huge variety there of what can be okay. But okay, amazing, amazing. So, how would you say if you were to give some picture of your current like diet and routines? I think that can be useful for people. Like, of course, what you're doing now, it might not be exactly what you did to lose the weight.
Mhm.
So maybe there is a difference there, of course. But I think it's good for people to know like what kind of routines do you have. For me, routines are very important, but I don't know how it is for you. Yeah.
I would very much agree with that. And you know what's funny is like lots of times I run into this with clients is when they achieve their goal, they think they could just go back to how they were. And I really try to heavily state that it's a lifestyle you're creating. Like you need to keep carrying those actionable items going forward. So creating those habits that you did for losing the fat, you need to keep doing it. So my thing is I try to lift at least 4 times a week. I do it in the morning. I enjoy it. That's me time. So still very much dedicated to strength training. And then of course I do try to make sure I get at least 7,500 to 10K steps per day. And if that requires me having a walking pad in my office and stuff like that, I'll definitely do it because I live in Canada. It was minus 30 this morning. No desire to walk outside.
That's
Um,
that's intense. That's intense for March. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Mm.
over it. I'm over winter.
Yeah.
Um, things like that. And then just like again, prioritizing my meals around protein, making sure that I'm having those fiber-rich foods because prior to tracking macros, I didn't really know what was high in fiber. What I thought it was high in fiber, turns out never was. So like just because it's a vegetable doesn't mean it's going to be super high in fiber. That's my takeaway with that one. But just carrying those things like again, sleep, hydration. Hydration is very important. Something again we forget. 60% water. Humans are 60% water, right? So we need hydration. We need good sleep because that's your recovery there. And really, I stopped focusing on it again being the fat loss protocol that I used to follow and more so of like this is now a longevity. I want to age well. I want to be as healthy as I can be. I want to be able to do the basic movements, hip like hinges, squats, all that stuff. Like I want to be able to do that well so I don't have to rely on somebody taking care of me in the future, basically. So start now.
Yeah. That's a great goal to have. I think we. I mean, I'm also definitely thinking in those like in that way because yeah. For me, I was in the place where I couldn't really at one point move around much. So
Hmm.
yeah. So when I was at my heaviest, I had also injuries in both knees. So
Yeah.
I was actually at a point where like even with crutches I could only like walk 100 200 meters. I was basically stuck at that
Yeah.
point. So for me, I think mobility and just being physically able is definitely something which yeah I chase. So I'm definitely on the use it or lose it kind of mindset. So yeah, now I have yeah, so I actually have a record of 70,000 steps in a day. But yeah,
That's
which is
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So coming back from not being able to walk basically. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I fully understand what you're talking about, and it's awesome that you're trying to be fully able as you will grow older and so on too. So and also regarding routines, exactly what you're saying. I think one of the reasons why I managed to do what I did is because I was already thinking early about, okay, can I keep doing something similar to this all my life?
Per- Yeah.
So you need to understand like this, both training, nutrition. Okay, this is not like a short-term thing just to get in shape because then you will anyway jump back and it will not help you actually. But yeah, getting into the mindset of, okay, what can I do which I can honestly tell myself that I can keep doing, right? And that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why, um, for me, basically now only do three lifting sessions a week in the gym, and then yeah, I have one more day where I do some dead hangs at home and stuff like that. Um, so 3 4 days, I guess you can say, but
Yeah.
that's what I do because I know I can do that every week.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
weeks I might be able to do 5 or 6, but not every week. And
I
so
agree.
so you
But
know
that's even with my four, because with
yeah
my full time, like I coach on the side, I do it part time or on the side, I should say, and then I work full time.
yeah
So lots of times I'm on the road. I have long days. I have to be on the road first thing in the morning, or I get home late. I'm not getting a workout in because I want my sleep instead. But yeah, ideally I try to get 4 workouts. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 2. Sometimes you know what, the week just yeah, but the biggest thing is like trying as hard as possible to get back on track as soon as possible. And
yeah
usually when it is a week off, I'm on holidays. That those will be the times where I'm like, you know what? It's okay.
yeah and that's great. Yeah, and no, but yeah, and I think exactly what you're saying, and also just if you should not set yourself up for failure, basically, right? So
Mhm.
if you set some routines that you're not able to keep long term, then you're basically screwing yourself in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because then you will become hard on yourself because you didn't manage to do this and you didn't manage to do that, and you will feel like a failure. And set
Yeah.
instead something which is realistic, and yeah, yeah, work with that.
That's why programs like the 75 hard or like even anything that's like you have to work out 21 days straight. If
Mm.
not, you failed it, then you get you feel like you're letting yourself down. And I used to do that definitely. Especially any of the beach body programs because they were X amount of days. If you missed one, it was like, okay, now I need to start back up at square one because I failed it, right?
Yeah,
That all or nothing mindset, I really fell victim to that as
yeah, me
well.
too. Yeah. And I mean, 21 days, okay, what are you going to do with 21 days? Sure, you can get some great results in 21 days, but nothing but your life is more important long term.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So if we go back a little bit, and
Mhm.
because we have talked about the practical stuff quite a lot, and also I think some useful insights to things that we both realized along the way. But what would you say was like your own inner motivation behind actually getting in shape and behind, yeah, changing your life? Did you have like something that did you have like a picture maybe of your life of what you would like it to be, or how, what motivated you? What pushed you like to do these
Yeah.
changes? Yeah.
So a good portion of my family suffers from osteoarthritis. And I would say, like, my mom, I'm Ukrainian, so I say Baba instead of grandma, but my Baba had hip and knee replacements. My mom already has hip, knee replacements, my uncles, etc. It runs in my family. And that's something again that I don't want to fall victim to. So if I could have stronger bones, if I could have that muscular support and everything else, um, I'm definitely going to support that in the long run. And the, I hate saying this because I do love my mom, but I basically don't want to be what she allowed herself to be. And that was using, weight as an excuse, using food as her coping mechanisms and stuff like that. Because I did grow up an emotional eater as well. So it was like another thing you had to overcome. You're upset, you're wanting to eat, you're had a bad day, you're going to the food pantry, right? And you're not portioning it out, you're eating out of the bag, etc. It was understanding that and being like, okay, there's different ways to deal with stress. There's different ways to make sure that, you're preventing osteoarthritis from consuming your body and such. So I would say those are some of the pretty big cards that I've really tried to delay or prevent from happening that really keep me motivated to show up for myself.
Great. Okay. I mean, I think that uh, trying to break the cycle, right? Trying to
Yeah.
change the course of what has been happening in a family and so on. I think that's a great motivator. And um, uh, I'm not going to go into too many details, but there are other things as well like that I've seen my parents do that I don't want to repeat, right? And
Hmm.
and with all the love to them, but it's like I think it's a positive motivator to learn from others' mistakes too, you know.
Yeah.
Um People try to do their best, but they will make mistakes along the way. And but if you try to learn something from that and try to do something different, I think that's a great thing to do. And uh, you trying to create something better for yourself, yeah, it's amazing. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the things that fuels my fire. And another is just to inspire others. That's something since going on Instagram and deciding I'm going to start posting every day and stuff like that. If it shows that like I can show up and again balance work. I don't have children, so that's not an issue, but I am married, have like full-time job and all that stuff, and I make it work and I am on the road quite a bit for my work. So
Yeah.
eating out, as I know of many people who like blame that they can't eat out if they want to track macros. It's doable, and I try to. motivate others because that's rewarding as well. And just showing, hey, you can do this. If I can do it, the girl
Yeah,
that thought she was destined to remain overweight her entire life, then you can as well.
great, great, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so regarding this and regarding inspiring others, as you're talking about, you are now coaching as well.
Yes.
And so, how did that start? How did you get into coaching?
So again, it started off with my first coach and starting really to understand macros and everything else. And it that really inspired me to want to teach others. And I've always had that in me to want to help others, I like teaching. Whether I work in agriculture actually full time. So
Okay.
I'm a technical sales agronomist. Well, I just changed roles recently, but I provide agronomy support to farmers and my colleagues and such. So being able to help and explain things and break it down has always been something in my nature. So I don't know if that's maybe also the people pleaser in me as well, but I always want to help. And I've seen this as an opportunity of like, hey, this worked for me, so how can I help others now realize you don't need to do those extremes, the boring basics, and I can't stress that enough. Those are the things that really matter. And if I can share it in a relatable way, or if somebody can resonate with how I used to think or how I think, then, why not? Let's take this shot on coaching.
Great, great. So, and I'm basically just starting out now. We're doing some
Yeah,
coaching, and so yeah, I'm following a few clients right now. So it's exciting. It's something new
it
for
is.
me. I've I guess for me, I kind of just you almost feel a responsibility in a way, right? To try to do something for other people. They are in the same situation as you were, or they're just trying to learn and try to improve their lives. So, do you have any advice for me as a beginner coach? That was one of my
Oh,
questions.
goodness. So I've been doing coaching on the side for just over 3 years now,
Mhm.
and I would say just keep showing up as your authentic you. There's so many out there that follow the trends or like f- they coach based on that misinformation.
Mm.
Um, Again, more women focused or I see like male coaches, especially like menopause, they demonize it and they really
Okay.
like target women's emotions. And it's very frustrating seeing that because like there'll be like a 26-year-old coach talking about menopause, like they're an expert on it. Maybe they know some stuff, but like you don't need to use fear-based tactics to gain clients. I really don't think people will resonate with your story and they'll find you somehow on the Instagram algorithm or social media algorithm.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. What do you mean with demonizing menopause? Like, what kind of stuff? I don't think I've
Oh,
seen
like,
stuff like that, but really, yeah,
oh, see, it pops up in mine, and maybe it's just
yeah.
because I've like those accounts grind my gears so that it knows to show them, but they'll basically state lines like you're not broken, like
Mm,
um 7 exercise to remove belly fat in your menopause stage or perimenopause, stuff like that. They
okay.
really heighten like where women are already insecure, and then they really target it and go after that and use it as their selling tactic.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just basically, yeah, yeah, as you're saying, like a dirty marketing tactic, basically,
Yeah,
in a way. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Just pushing those buttons, I guess, and yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
don't do that. Don't
No,
do that.
thank you, thank you. Yes, yes. No, yeah, but I am trying to definitely like uh, basically teach the things that have helped me, right? And
Mm.
yeah, I think with nutrition, for example, it's there is going to be some people are going to do things a bit different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think everyone's nutrition needs to be the very similar, even as long as I mean your total calories for the day is gonna make the most difference to your weight loss or weight gain. No matter if you're trying to gain or lose you should keep high protein.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the rest we can figure out also based on your goals and based on what you're trying to do. But yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely try to avoid people completely cutting carbs because it's usually doesn't make them feel the best. So um, yeah, and both for performance and just well-being in general. So the aggressive
I
carb cutting is not. I'm not a big fan now.
Yeah, I'm not at all. Fun fact, you need at least 130 grams of carbs for brain function alone. I know they're not like mandatory, like your body can function with low carbs or little to no carbs, but they are still your primary energy source. And if you want to perform like an athlete or even like improve your performance, you do need them. As much as people say you don't need carbs, the carnivore groupies, I hope you don't have many listening to this. They're going to come after me.
That's fine. That's fine.
They really push that you don't need carbs. They're bad. They'll push that they cause again your oh goodness, your insulin resistance, they increase that and all that stuff. Like they'll push all those narratives. And at the same time, it's like, you know, how you create your plate matters. You can still have the carbs there.
Mm.
They shouldn't be majority of your plate, but if you still have, again, those complex carbs, so your fiber-rich carbs, along with maybe some simple carbs as well, you're totally fine. Like there's that balance, and I'm a big believer of that 80/20 lifestyle. So 80%, you know, your nutrition looks quite well, you're dialed in. 20%, you're still living life. You're enjoying the burger and fries or going out for the milkshake or ice cream or whatever, right? Because you still got to live. Those foods are still important and important to enjoy. But you know what? Maybe you're not having them every single day anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great advice. And okay, so at this point, basically, I kind of have uh, two main things left, I guess. So
Mhm.
first of all, I wanted to. So I'm going to present them at the same time, and then I'm basically going to let you speak. But first of all, I was wondering if you want to add something else about your own journey and about what you've gone through that I think is useful, that you think is useful for others to hear about. And then at the end, basically, I just want to open up also. If you have any questions for me, then you can ask me anything as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing about my own personal journey is I kind of just started, and I know how hard that can be because before I set foot in the gym, and this would have been back in 2012 was when I finally joined a gym. I would think about it. I would think about it in the back of my mind, and I knew I wanted to improve myself. I knew I wanted to get better. And you know, sometimes it's a lot more easier to start with that movement side of things than like nutrition. It was like getting active and getting more mobility and stuff was like that opened the doors. And then once I finally started better understanding not only movements, but like how nutrition does impact how you perform in the gym, that was really where it all started clicking together. And the second thing I would say to spare yourself the headache of doing the yo-yo thing and trying to figure it out on yourself, invest in yourself and hire that coach because if I would have did it from the get-go, I would have spared myself 10 years of yo-yo dieting, paying for supplements that didn't do anything. Like I used to buy all that stuff,
Mm.
that junk, the fat burners and everything else, hoping that they would be the solution. They never were. If anything, they just caused my stomach to be incredibly upset. But yeah, there's no quick fix out there. There really isn't. I guess GLP and peptides can kind of assist there, but like, you know, you still need to learn the basics because do you want to be on that for the rest of your life? Do you want to lose all your muscle mass while being on a GLP-1, right? Like that's going to be the up and coming battle in the coaching world is that we're going to have skinny, frail people out there because hey, they lost a bunch of weight, but they also lost their muscle mass and everything else out there. So take the time to invest in yourself, invest in a coach, and you know, if you don't like your coach, go to a next one, right? Like
Mm.
you'll find somebody that clicks with you, and I think that's important. Like you, if you could buy yourself a coffee every day, why not? break that down, maybe buy yourself a coffee once a week and put the rest of your money towards a coach or to the gym membership, etc.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Just starting somewhere. Basically, I think that's what you're saying, right? And hiring
Yeah.
somewhere and trying to basically learn, right, about how to do things right, and that's great. And I mean, if I about the GLP-1s thing, I think there is also like uh, good and bad ways to use them, if I can say
Yeah,
like
I
that.
agree.
So they can be a good aid. I mean, the reason why GLP-1 works is because they're gonna make you be in a calorie deficit, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's still there's still no magic involved. It just like it messes with your, or I mean it changes your hormones in a way, right? And your signaling
Yeah.
so that you will eat less and you will be in a calorie deficit. But if you don't lift weights, if you don't eat enough protein, then you're really gonna run into some trouble long term.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, I think people who only do the GLP-1s are definitely not gonna have a great outcome long term. But I also respect the fact that some of us have just an incredible hunger signaling. So it's like if somebody wants to use that as an aid, I'm not gonna say that they shouldn't. And yeah, so I just wanted to give, I guess, my balanced take on that. That it can be an aid, but definitely still lift weights, still
Yeah.
eat high protein, so do you make sure that you are
Yeah.
healthy and not just skinny. Yeah,
Again, it's a
yeah,
tool, but it's not the silver bullet, so to speak.
no,
So, you still need to understand those basics, which again, how to properly feel your body. You still need like the rest, recovery, and everything else. If you're under eating, you're going to be under nutrients, or you're going to lack nutrients, I should say. So, stuff like that, like people need to be more aware of that and just realize that, hey, this is depleting you. Really, it is because you're not eating. So, yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
tool, but it shouldn't be just a sound solution in my books.
yeah. Um, Yeah, no, agreed, agreed. I actually before I open up for the questions for me, I kind of came up with another question along the way. Since we were talking about this when you started on the first question, I was just wondering like how is it for you when it comes to your own self-image? Now, I know this is a hard question maybe, but it's like starting off with yeah, I know for myself being very hard on myself and what I felt I looked like and all of that. So how has that
Yeah,
evolved for you? How do you feel now about yourself? I know it's a hard question to ask, but I'm gonna ask it
it
anyways.
it is. And I've
Yeah.
I've thought about this time and time again because especially like I was over 300 pounds, so I've lost
Mhm.
120 and now I sit in like around the one low 170s to 180s.
Mhm.
And I'm 5'11, so I do have height, so I'm not short. So
Yeah.
just clarifying that. But that body dysmorphia is so very real. And there'll be times, and of course, with losing 120 pounds, you have loose skin, I have cellulite, I have all that fun stuff, especially my lower body, because I seem to be lower body heavier than upper, even when I was overweight. That's just how I stored it. So wearing shorts, like all those things, like I could become my own worst enemy. And I always have to take that pause because I will say you never changed. You still look the same. Like you still have, again, the line that my brother used to say, tree legs, that sticks with you. So bullying people about their weight does not help. It just makes it worse down the road, I would say. But body dysmorphia is real, and I don't think you ever fully beat it. And sometimes when you do lose a lot of weight, you feel like you need to just keep going and going and going, but that's not the case. You will find a spot where you're just like, I'm good here. I'm healthy. I'm doing the things. But I think it's important to just like still have that pause when you have those bad days and be like, you know what? I didn't work this hard to hate myself. And I've definitely had that conversation with myself. And heck, I was in Mexico 2 weeks ago, and had to wear, well, didn't have to wear, but like it's hot, so I'm not going to just wear leggings and long pants and everything else. So it was just like sundresses, shorts, etc. And I had to have that conversation with myself even 2 weeks ago because I see myself sometimes, and it's like you still got the cellulite. You
Mhm.
got these flaws, and it's like, you know what? I have that, but I'm healthy. And I that usually ends up trumping that train of thought.
Oh, that's yeah. It's good that you have, how could you say, you have the answer to your own question in a way, right? So
Yeah.
it's like when you get into that conversation that you can kind of reply to yourself and say, no, but you're okay, like
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I mean, even for myself, I just know that even if maybe I've eaten some foods that have made me a bit bloated, for example, one day, even just that, looking in a mirror and my belly is a bit bigger one day, even just
Mhm.
that makes me look back at myself as my old self, right?
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
way. Um, yeah, yeah. Plus, right now I'm like intentionally holding a few extra kilos that I'm then gonna diet down again later this year. So I have actually had to train myself to accept that as well. Uh, and it's
Yeah.
but it's not easy. Yeah, when I think also as you're saying, when people have been also seeing you a certain way, then you have been seeing yourself a certain way. It's not like from one day to another you see yourself as this fit person, and yeah,
Mhm.
it doesn't really work that way.
No, no, it
Yeah,
really doesn't. Yeah, it's funny that you say it like that because so often, again, we see ourselves every day in the mirror and stuff like that. So when changes do happen, or even if like changes don't happen, you're in maintenance and you're wanting to stay the same,
yeah,
you'll still see yourself as your old version every once in a while, and it's just your brain playing with you, unfortunately. And it sucks, but I think for anyone that is losing weight and working towards it, really take those progress photos, those measurements, and everything else because I look at it as data now, but back then, those were the things that probably grounded me to keep going as well. Because again, that scale might not be changing how they want, but hey, you're putting on muscle, your body's literally recompositioning itself. Those things matter. So definitely don't rely on what you're seeing in the mirror solely, but take those progress photos, those measurements, and everything else to kind of keep you motivated, keep showing up.
yeah. Agreed, agreed. And also, I'm lucky that I found some actually footage when I was at my biggest, where I could take some still shots
Mhm.
and use them for before pictures. But
Yeah.
it's one of my biggest regrets that I don't have any proper before pictures.
I
So
I get that.
whenever I start coaching someone, it's like the first thing, take the before pictures. Now, just do
Yeah.
it. Maybe you're
Yeah.
not gonna like them now, but you will like them later. You will thank me later.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
That I'm very much in the same boat. I do have the photos of when I went and wanted to sign up for the gym, but again, I'm wearing like jeans, a baggy t-shirt, so you can't really see as much as I like proper progress photos would be, but I keep using them nonetheless because it's something, because otherwise I hated taking pictures. I did not want to be up front and center. It's almost hard making content actually to show the old version of me because I have such little images to use because
yeah,
I hated them.
yeah. I know. I can relate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So yeah. So I think we have covered a lot already. So I guess I would like to move to the last part and open up if there is anything you want to know from me, if you want to ask me anything. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, this might be a vulnerable question or something like that, but like
Go for it.
along your like being being overweight as a kid, like and then, learning to lose the weight later on in state or life and whatnot. But what was one of the, I guess, worst moments like you had while maybe seeking out your own fat loss journey? And like, how did you kind of keep going forward during it? I think this is something we all tackle. Usually this is where people fall off the bandwagon and then they're just like, no, this is where I'm at, right? So what was yours?
Um, so I guess the question is what was my hardest uh, point or like where, yeah.
Yeah, or did you
And
ever have something that almost completely derailed your your progress or just even you wanting to show up? Was there a moment that was just like, you know what, I'm done. This is not for me.
I think that's more of like where I got to from really heavy to even heavier. But I guess I can go through a bit of like different stages, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I was an obese kid. So I was like yeah, wearing adult so big clothes when I was already 8, 9. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was bullied in school, especially in elementary school. Got better later, but yeah. Um, and definitely didn't have a very high self-image, right? So and then I was still big throughout my teens and my 20s, and with some ups and downs, but yeah. So then I made a first proper attempt, I guess, when I was around 25, and yeah, that then I lost about 30 kilos, something like 65 pounds,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. And that was mainly with a kind of keto or low carb diet. But the issue was, besides the method itself, which was not the best, I think the issue was also the motivation. I
Right.
was kind of doing it to be more accepted,
Yeah.
right? So
I get that.
I was basically doing it because to be more liked, to be more accepted by others, to even just family, even just people close to me. I didn't feel like um, people accepted me for where I was and that I had to change, right?
Yeah.
But that's not a good motivation long term. Um,
I totally get that because it's short-winded. Like did you notice you got more attention, like even from the opposite sex and stuff like that once you started losing weight, once you started like improve, like you got more comments and whatnot, like the focus shifted?
yeah, I mean, a little bit back then, yeah, yeah. But it's like, but also, I've never been really good at even those times when it happened. I've never been really good at accepting the attention of the opposite sex
Mhm.
in a way that I kind of I'm not used to it even
Yeah.
now.
I
So it's like I'm doubting that it's happening or that I'm imagining things, and so it's like
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there is a lot of uncertainty there, right? And just like I'm like, okay, but at that time, I think something that also kind of broke me in that moment and make me go back is that uh, people close to me still didn't really appreciate what I did, but they were more
Right.
like, yeah, but you still have to do a lot, right? So they were, which I mean, they were not wrong. I still had much more weight to lose, but still, hearing that after you put in a huge amount of work that they don't even really know
Yeah.
what it takes, and then people still are on you just about what you still have to do and not what you have done. So yeah, yeah, that was not a great place for me to be. So I gained even more weight, and then yeah, when we're talking about yeah, just interactions and relationships and all that, I think that has been basically my main weak point throughout life, right? So how I got to my heaviest was actually kind of after a heartbreak in a way.
Right.
And yeah, that's when I kind of had given up hope, basically, that I could build the kind of life that I wanted. And
Like, why bother, right?
yeah, so that's when I was living really day to day, and just so food was my uh, relief, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so at my heaviest, I got to 210 kilos, like that's 460 something pounds.
Yeah.
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 And yeah, that was not great. I also, again, I had an injury in my left knee since earlier, and then I tore my ACL on the right knee. And yeah, I was in a very, very bad place. And mainly just, yeah, as I said, I didn't really believe in a future anymore. I was just doing day to day. I wasn't at the point that I wanted to completely give up on life. I've never been like that far in a way. So I wasn't
Yeah.
like consciously trying to hurt myself, but I guess unconsciously.
Yeah. Yeah. But more
Yeah.
so like what's the point? Like, let me just this is my life, right?
Yeah. So let me just enjoy the moment, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, from there, what it actually took was, yeah, I went through, after I was already at my lowest, I went through a period of isolation through COVID and all of that.
Hmm.
Uh, and then after that, I visited a healthcare professional, actually together with my job at that point. And there was a lady there who kind of looked me in the eyes and said that I can see that you're sad. I can see that you're down. And that was kind of one of the first real human interactions I'd had in a long time.
Yeah.
Just someone actually seeing me instead of just seeing physical me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was actually one of the main starting points for me to start to believe again, to do changes and all of that. And um, so yeah, I talked to someone and for a long time and talked through a bit of my issues and all of that. And but the first part was just convincing myself that the life that I want is still possible. And I had to first convince myself that that guy that I was back then was worthy of it
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
way.
I get that. I get that so much.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, even that guy is like, he can do those things, even if
Yeah.
it might be unlikely, it might be really hard, but you know, for me, I do have this motivation for myself that I do want to build a family, and it's something I still want to do. And
Yeah.
that has been one of my main motivators, starting out on this. And just like, okay, first, okay, even as I was then, that it's like, okay, it's possible for me to achieve that as I am. Once I got to that point, that's when I could start to change.
Hmm.
Because if you change from a point of only hating yourself, then it's never going to be sustainable, right? But if you
No.
change from a point of, okay, you know what, you are okay, but you can do much better,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
I think that's where having a really good coach helps with that because we often talk about, again, macros, working out and everything else. But if you have somebody that you know you can confide into and like share stories like you're sharing right now and actually be heard versus like, oh, you need to just eat less, move more. That makes such a huge difference as well. Just being heard because I know even on my own personal journey, I didn't work for a coach for a number of years and
Mhm.
that focus of like just trying to be skinnier, smallest version of me, focusing on, yeah, like that was my goal, was always just to be skinnier, not stronger, not improve my performance, not anything else, just to be skinnier. And like again, you can't hate yourself skinny. You really can't. It's not gonna last. And it didn't last for me. It was definitely that yo-yo, up and down, up and down. Some days it would be better, or some years it would be better. I'd be able to maintain it a little bit longer, and then the next it would be like I would have a 360 and I would gain more, right? So yeah, that I think that honestly your story alone just makes you a great coach because you're relatable to how so many people think.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And it's so for myself, I actually didn't have a coach. So
Mhm.
I've done this on my own, and
Which is wild because I yeah,
yeah,
I would
but
have still been stuck if I haven't opened
yeah.
that door.
At the same time, I have given credit to them openly, and I will still always do them and do that. And I follow a lot RP Strength, and I
Hmm.
actually watched a lot of their content starting out.
Yeah.
So that's actually where I learned most of the stuff, both about nutrition and training. So people can find sources. It doesn't have to be them specifically, but people can find some great sources of information online too to get started. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm someone who's had to fight my way through to learning stuff and doing things on my own. And yeah, thank you for your comment. I do think I do have something to offer as a coach. Just I guess I have learned things the hard way in a way too. So
You lived it. You lived the
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
And I think that really helps with that coaching angle is when you can actually relate to how that person's thinking or how, because you maybe thought that same way at some point, or you still do occasionally. Like when you can relate to that level, it makes such a difference. It really does.
yeah. Yes. So yeah, yeah. So that was a bit about me, I guess. Yeah. Um, so I don't know if you want to ask me anything else, if you have something else you have on your mind.
Um, I guess I don't know. I don't know what else I could ask. I asked you a pretty tough question.
You
Sorry, I threw that
did.
at you.
No
But
worries.
it's those tough questions that make it relatable. And I guess, do you ever wish you would have worked with a coach, I guess, like instead, or do you think, doing it on your own, you learned from your mistakes, and now you can make sure that you educate others not to repeat those?
Um, hmm, that is a good question. Um, yeah. I think for me it's kind of things unfolded the way that they were meant to in a way, so it's difficult to go back and think of doing something completely differently. Um, for me personally, um, honestly, I've been in a situation where I couldn't really afford a coach,
Yeah.
so that has been my reality. And yeah, for yeah, for several reasons, I've accumulated some debt throughout my life, which I'm paying off. And so even though I have a decent job, I still have had debt to deal with. Um, so I've been in a situation where I couldn't really afford a coach, and because of that, I wouldn't go back and try to invest money on that when it wasn't the right fit for me in that moment.
Right.
So I still think that what I did and how I did it was the best approach for me personally. But I think that if you feel like you are able to invest in a coach, then it will definitely make things work better and faster.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's yeah, I do think people should use whatever they can to make their journey more effective, I guess, and easier, right? So if they can
Yeah.
avoid making a lot of own mistakes and all of that, then that's a great thing to do. But for me, I don't. it's hard to go back anyways, but I don't regret the way I did things, and yeah, um, I think it worked out pretty well anyways.
I like that response. And by the sounds of it, you've done a great job, and heck, you're sponsored even, or you're an athlete with RP now?
I'm not an athlete with RP, but I'm an ambassador, right? So
Ambassador. That's still
yes,
pretty cool.
yes, yes.
So
Um,
no, I think that's great. And then even just like that self-taught lessons and learning stuff, it does make a difference. And that's where I look back and I know it took me 10 years to lose 120 pounds, but I learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of things not to do. And I can definitely share that, hey, I've done this. Let's take that. And lots of times I will say this, let's take that step back and relook at what we're doing and do it differently because that's not going to work in the long run.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Great. Okay. I think we have shared a lot of good things on both of our lives that can be useful for other people, and I do appreciate you asking difficult questions, but good questions.
Yeah.
I think
Those
this
are the
is
ones
what.
people are going to relate to. They really are.
Yeah, yeah. So no, this is the most useful stuff to get out there. I
Mhm.
guess. Um, all right. So then, amazing job with what you have done. I'm really happy for you that you have taken charge of your own life and that you are working towards being that uh, able old lady one day.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to need help getting off the toilet.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the goal, right? Or putting my
So
socks on.
yeah, exactly. So I love that for you and that you're working towards that. And really happy that you're trying to inspire and help others, both with coaching, but even just with sharing your content and all of that. So yeah,
Mhm.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Uh, I would say that feeling's quite mutual. I know I've started following you. You probably noticed I'm always liking your content and
Yes,
stuff
and
because
thank you.
it's that showing up, like doing those things on repeat. And those are the things that are going to stack up and actually matter at the end versus changing your routine constantly or just not having a routine at all. And routines matter. They really do. They make a difference if you can check those boxes and be like, I'm doing at least, XYZ, it'll make a difference. And sharing that and then sharing that you're doing just the basics, whether it's meal prepping or anything, it makes a difference. It really does. So I think your content's awesome. Your story's
Thank you.
awesome, and like, especially for you to have done it on your own, that's absolutely wild. So be proud of that. Use that
Thank
as your
you.
sales. That alone is a selling tactic.
Yes, I guess I will use it more. Yeah. So yeah, I know. It's hard to be too proud of yourself in a way, right? It's
Yeah, to be modest. Yeah.
yeah. So most of the times I kind of don't always I don't sing my own praises that much.
Mhm.
But yeah, so when other people do it, I think I guess it helps. So that I remind myself of what I've
Yeah.
done, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much again, Melissa. It was great talking to you.
Thank you for having me. I was I'm sorry I missed your first message. I don't know
Yeah.
how I missed it completely. And then you messaged again and I'm like, "Oh, this doesn't look good on my behalf." But yeah, sure, I'll be on your podcast. So I appreciate you messaging again and asking me again to join you.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy that I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much to you, and thank you to everyone for watching and listening. And I guess I'll talk to you soon again.
Yes, sounds good. Thanks again.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.